Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this instalment of Catalyst Conversations. I am joined today by the lovely Cat Knott. Hi, Cat.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's a total pleasure. Would you like to just jump on in and let us know a little bit about who you are, where in the world you are, before we go and dive into catalysts and change and all of those exciting things?
Sure. I'm Cat Knott, as you've just heard, and I am a channel and a coach and a guide. And basically, what I help people do is to see the enormity of themselves. I think one of the things we all fail to do is to see how freaking amazing we absolutely are. So that's what I do, and that's my passion. And you are one of my bestest friends in the whole world, so thank you very much for inviting me on. And one of the things that kind of happens when Emma and I get together is conversations go in very weird places. So this should be fun.
Yes, yes. I want to start with that whole enormity thing, because this is a big thing for me as well, about how we end up in this sort of place of, well, this is my lot, this is where I am, this is what things are. What is it that is about that particular piece that really interests you, or exploring that further? How does that come up in your world?
Well, I think actually to answer this properly, I'm going to have to give you a bit of background of one of my catalyst moments as well, because I think this is something that happens, especially for us that are here to be teachers and guides and coaches, is that we are challenged. And we're challenged with the things that actually we are then able to teach and talk our way through and help others with. It's one of the things I know that you say, we only have to be a little bit further along the way than the next people coming up. But what happened to me, and specifically to get me into this realm of work, was that in 2009 I got married in July, and in November my husband came down with a very severe illness. And so life changed very quickly indeed. And that catalyst moment led to 10 years really of investigation, of learning how our body and our mind and our spirit and our soul are really all connected, and how one bit of it can break, one bit of it can suddenly not be what it was, and it affects everything else. And for me, what happened was, I won't go into the detail of his story because it's not my story.
Yeah.
But this is one of the things that I've had to learn along the way, is that no matter what's going on around you, no matter where we are in the world, no matter what the circumstances you're in, the only thing that we can actually do and change and be is ourselves. So this whole journey for me over these 10 years has been, how can I navigate this better? I can't heal him. I can't suddenly fix it. I can't turn back the clock. I can't change things. Circumstances for everybody from time to time get really, really difficult, and some to really, really further extremes than others. But we all face challenges. And so I think to come into this space of really truthfully knowing and understanding that the only thing that we can do in a shitty situation, in a difficult situation, is work on ourselves, and work on ourselves deeply, and understanding the world around us and understanding everything that's going on as it's where I am, but it's not who I am. It's fundamentally not who I am.
Yeah.
And I think this answers the question that you were asking, which is, how do we lose this knowledge of the enormity of ourselves. How do we lose that belief in ourselves? It's because when we're in difficult situations, when life feels heavy and tricky and unnavigable, whatever that word is, unnavigatable. What's that word? Unnavigable.
Yeah.
Unnavigable. You know, it's recognizing that all of this is outside of me. All of this is outside of me. How can I be the best that I can be in it? How can I still flourish in it? How can I make things better for me in it? Because I think we always try to struggle our way out of. And that's where external circumstances can swamp us. External circumstances can make us completely ignore who we are and how we can still grow, even in the biggest, heaviest, most difficult, darkest, circumstances. I think you know that as well, that it's really ourselves that, and how we can be the best that we can be no matter what.
And where do you think that even starts? How would you, if you kind of are sat there and you look around and you think, I've actually hemmed myself into a bit of a corner here. I've ended up being maybe even a little bit one-dimensional. I've ended up with all of these roles in life, badges attached to my lapel of things that I do, obligations, roles, blah, de, blah, de, blah. Where do you start?
Education. And I think there's that old phrase of knowledge is power. And this, in my particular situation, was, okay, how can I understand this illness better? That was my very first step.
Yeah.
So how can I educate myself on this? So if that means that, you're in a business and you're stuck with something, the question of how can I educate myself about this situation is the very first step to take. If you're drowning in debt, how can I educate myself better about money? And it's all about not waiting for somebody to come save you, right? Because we can get into that situation where the bigger the problem, the bigger the need for somebody to come rescue us. But from that space, you are completely powerless, helpless, hopeless.
Yeah.
And that energy frequency keeps your head down, keeps you small, stops you looking up. Whereas if you are able to say to yourself, how can I do this better? How can I educate myself? How can I learn something new about this that will help me? That then, it kind of energetically lifts your head. It gives you something to stand in that's like, I am doing something to empower myself.
Yeah.
And as we know, an energy frequency, when we're looking in a particular energy frequency at anything, that's what gets reflected back to us. So if we start with the tiniest little thing of how can I empower myself better with this little tiny piece of education, this little tiny piece of information, that can shift your frequency, that can shift your energy, that can shift your motivation. It can literally help you to take the very next little step forward. And, knowing that I have been in the darkest times, knowing that I have had the weight of, the enormity of watching somebody that you love struggling, it's a really, really hard place to be. So I can speak from experience in this. It's not just, another coach just going, yeah, do this, you'll feel better. That energy shift of how can I make myself better today just with this one tiny piece of information? How can I answer that question today?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it can sometimes lead us into paths where we take too big a bite of the elephant as well. And it's remembering that, you know, it's just one tiny answer to one tiny question is kind of enough to keep you moving on that forward momentum. But as far as a catalyst moment, when you're actually sitting and you feel so hard that everything is too heavy and too hard, and you're really, really struggling and you don't know which way to go forward, even just saying to yourself, what's one tiny little thing that I can do for me right now? And it may be that, you know, just taking the choice for yourself to go make yourself a cup of tea. You know, just walk away from the computer, walk away and get outside. You know, anything that can change you in this one breath, in this second, in this moment, to just make my life a little bit easier right here, right now.
Like that. And that's really sort of from that place of, okay, it's that reset of what can I do, what have I got control of, what direction, collating the options, I suppose.
For sure.
And
nope, you go.
Well, I think that so many people, they see the enormity. We talk about not seeing the enormity, but actually the enormity of all the choice and all the decisions and all of the things becomes scary and overwhelming. It's not for me. I can't do that. There's too much to think about. Actually, I'm safer here where I know the hard than I am to move beyond it. Where do we go with that?
When we recognize that human beings, and we've all done this, right? We are incredibly capable of feeling comfortable in something that is deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, we can get so embedded in this discomfort feels comfy, and this broken, I can live with it because I've figured out how to work around the broken bit.
Yeah.
I've figured that out, and I know that. And what if I don't work my work around, I'm not sure what's going to come, not sure what's going to be after.
Yeah.
And it is a hard place to be if we're moving too quickly, if we're taking too big a leap. And so I think, you know, it really is the tiny weeny steps, you know, the tiny weeny steps that get us through eating the elephant. But firstly, we have to recognize whether we are eating an elephant, eating a whale, eating a hippo, or in actual fact, we need to eat anything at all. And if we just turn around, there might just be an exit door right behind us.
Yeah.
So that first piece of really taking the time to educate what actually is the problem here, what actually is the piece that I know it's broken, and I know it hurts, and I know it's not right, but what is it? And that in itself can be a very emotional process, you know. And it's why, you know, if you're in a business, if you're in an entrepreneurial situation, to actually take some time out of that very stressful situation and just sit and go, actually, where's the toxicity in this? What are the bits that I don't like? What are the bits that are poisoning this for me? And it sounds like a really harsh word, but it's not, because sometimes we can have a business that we love, but there's just one tiny slice of it that we've been doing too long, or that drags us down, or that always brings difficult clients, or those pieces that don't fit. And that bit of knowledge, that bit of information can be a huge catalyst for change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think what's interesting, it reminds me of sort of that beginning of lockdown in March 2020. We were all, in that position, and we all kind of got this level of uncomfort because we were forced into uncomfort. And I remember looking at what's missing, what sort of feelings and thoughts and situations and things are missing. And there was obvious ones, but equally there was not so obvious ones. And there was, so what's the current version of that thing? Mm-hmm. So if we can't have that thing as is right now, what's the version of that we can create right now? Because it might be that if you're in a situation where the catalyst feels that it's nagging you, the steps feel enormous, we conflict this enormity of step with the wanting of instantaneous results, and that just sandpapers against each other, because we want to have the outcome, but to get to the outcome's too much, and if we just do it step by step, it's too slow, and poof. So we'll just stay here again. But there can be that transition of right now, what's the next version of that? And that steady ability to move towards. Do you think that there is, an awful lot of angst and discomfort that comes from the instantaneous outcomes thing?
Oh, it drives me insane. Honestly, I read some of the stuff on, the Facebook ads and the stuff that comes up, and these like shiny object things that you spend a fortune on. That this is the thing that will turn everything around. We're all evolving, step by step by step, mm-hmm. right? And I think the only thing that we miss most really is this ability to hold a vision of a possibility, mm-hmm. in the future, yeah. Without getting so tied up in all of the steps I need to get there right now, and just stepping back into, okay, I can actually have both of these at the same time. Yeah. I can have this vision for the future and be okay with the fact that that's the direction I'm going in. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm aiming for. That's where I check in with myself every day of, is this going to take me closer to that, or is it going to take me further away? Yeah. And that single question of, in this minute, in this breath, is this going to take me closer to this vision, mm-hmm. or is it taking me further away, will be far more effective in transformation and alchemizing your life, mm-hmm. than buying a shiny object thing that is going to cost you a lot of money, is going to promise you the world, and then you'll get to the end of it and there'll be a next step that isn't there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing, that with a lot of these things, you get so excited about, it's good, that's the key, that's the bit, that's the piece, that's it, and we get so sold on these sales pages and programs and stuff like that, and then we get to an end and we fall off a cliff. Yeah. And I know that you've had clients that have been through this. Mm-hmm. I have people come to me all of the time who are, in this constant state of finding shiny object, getting to the end of it, fall off a cliff, mm-hmm. energy drop. Oh my God, mm-hmm. Whereas the simplicity of, like I say, coming back into the presence of yourself, mm-hmm. coming back into the reality of the now, coming back into this breath, holding a vision of where you actually want to get to. Mm-hmm. And then the simple questions every single day, whether it's in your life or in your business, in your family, of, is this thing that I'm doing right now going to take me closer to that or further away from that? And there is the, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not further away or further back. So, but most of the time, there is that ability to reference this and go, okay, I can see how that is keeping me stuck.
Yeah.
And if that is keeping you stuck, then that is the equivalent of further away.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What if, playing devil's advocate,
Yours.
you have no idea what that future vision is? You can't see beyond.
Can't see beyond.
You don't have a goal, an outcome, a thing. You don't have that, this is what I want to work towards. You just know that you don't want to be here anymore. Where do you start with that?
Couple of places. This is in my experience and the way that I work, and I know other people work in very different ways, and everybody is guided towards different people and the different way that people work. So for me, I completely understand that I don't know where I want to go from here. I know what it feels like to be in a place where anything you think you can dream of is just too far away. And that agony of not having anything beyond this immediacy. And I know what that feels like. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. I'm sure there's times that most of the people that are listening have been there. So from that point, what we can do is two things. We can say, I want to feel a certain way. So we can actually project ourselves not into solid, tangible project idea outcomes, but we can go, I so want to feel lighter. I so want to feel like I have a direction. I want to feel like people can see me. I want to feel supported. Okay, and that feeling, building that feeling into a ball, if you like, of just feeding this, and this ball of feeling of what we want to feel in the future. And building that and actually giving that some boundary and some solidity can be enough to move you forwards, because that then becomes, we can project ourselves into, I want to be in a space where I feel free. I want to be in a space where I feel supported. I want to be in a space where this weight isn't all on my shoulders. We can build that way. And it doesn't then look like I want to have a business with, 500,000 turnover, 16 staff, a nice office. This is the couch I want, and this is the car that I want, and all of that. And the other thing that we can do is we can actually stay in the space and we can go, what do I not want? Right here, right now, what do I not want any more of? And that can be a really powerful program as well of change and catalyst. And I think, a lot of us can squash down our feelings and squash down our emotions, and we don't allow ourselves to actually see what it is that is really painful here, and what it is that is, is hurting, and what it is that I don't want anymore. And that, as a first step of knowing what the hell no, I don't want any more of this is, can actually be a really great way of building a vision and a project and an idea and a step of knowing what I don't want, even if you don't know what you do.
And one of the things that I would then use off the back of that personally, I want to feel this, or I want to feel that, or I want to feel the other, is what would it take for me to? Is the question that you then ask. What would it take for me to feel supported? What does that look like? And just explore it. What would it take for me to feel seen? What would it take for me to feel? And then you start to get some of the either steps or the signs that these things are coming to life. So you get an element of tangibility to what may have initially felt intangible.
Yeah. And the other way around as well, of what would it take for me to not have this
Yeah.
anymore?
Yeah.
What would it take for me to actually say to the world, I don't accept this anymore?
Yeah.
What would it take for me to be able to make that one single change where I'm not allowing myself to accept that anymore?
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that then ability for you to look at those individual situations. I'm not prepared any longer to feel this way. Well, what actually is making you feel that way right now? And what can you do to start to navigate your way out of that or feel that less? And is it the truth, or is it not? Is it a story that you've told yourself? Is it something that's occurred within a dialogue that actually changed the dialogue, changed the outcome?
For sure. And then, we've also got the situation of we can be stuck in the dialogue of I can't do that because of,
Mm-hmm.
and the because ofs aren't actually anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because of this person outside of me, because of this situation outside of me, because of where I am. And that's why when I said right at the beginning, the work then becomes placing yourself and your own changeability
Mm-hmm.
at the heart of every single thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a million reasons outside of yourself why change can't happen. If you let them have that ultimate power over yourself.
Yeah.
But there is a way to learn to thrive. There is a way to learn to change. There is a way to learn to be differently in really hard, difficult situations. And that awareness of, shit, this is a really difficult place,
Yeah.
can be enough of a catalyst for you to go, crap, how did I get here? How did this happen? I
Yeah.
found myself suddenly in this really big, black, dark, toxic hole. What the crap?
Mm-hmm.
How did it get here? What happened there?
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots and lots of levels on, catalyst, and change is constantly all about ourselves. We've really got to bring it back to ourselves and what we can do for ourselves all of the time.
Yeah, I like that a lot. One of the things that I have certainly looked at recently is that energetic audit. So where does your energy go at the moment? What is it that is taking up your energy, draining your energy? Maybe just even fiddling with it. And it can sometimes be the tiniest little actions that can create huge changes and shifts in perception, in energy, in outlook, in mood. And it can be as simple as, right, actually, do you know what? My office needs a bit of a dig out. My desk drawer is overflowing. It can be that simple. It can be that cathartic act of clearance of a space and a tidy up that can make that beginning, because you can't feel orderly in a disordered environment. You can't create order in chaos without starting to look at the chaos that's behind that. So having a time to go, right, okay, so what does feel chaotic right now and what can I do about it, can change all sorts of things.
Absolutely. And like you say, this energetic audit thing is a great way of putting it. And I had a situation going back quite some years now when I was still working in marketing and web design and stuff like that. And I actually realized how much of my time, my life, my precious life force, my existence here was spent doing stuff for people that I absolutely hated doing.
Yeah.
You know, and just I actually got one of these like time tracker things.
Yeah.
We're going back a few years when these were unusual, guys.
Yeah.
But I got one for my computer, and I literally logged everything that I did through the day for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it got to the end of it and was like, my God, you know, like such a huge amount of my day was spent doing stuff that just sucked the life out of me.
Yeah.
So, you know, even if that awareness, again, knowledge is power, that awareness suddenly went, crap, okay, I can't change this immediately, but how can I get that 80% down to 50% next month?
Yeah.
You know, or in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And that simple project idea then is like, okay, this is a little thing that I'm working on. I'm going to get 80% down to 50% over a period of time.
Yeah.
And that being enough of a step forward, because you free up your time and then are really, really careful of what comes into it, only being the things that you really love and that nurture you and that you're excited to do. And life shifts around you, big style.
Yeah. It can be as easy as, I spend so much time, for example, I don't because they're all over, but looking for a pen. And it makes me really, really angry that I have to always look for a pen. And that then hits my mood for the rest of the day. It can be the stupidest little starting points of identifying stuff that just change your mood or drain the life out of you, that allow you to go, let's just create a bit more ease in the day. Because if I'm not expending energy on being angry about the fact that I have to look for a pen again, I've got that energy to use elsewhere. And it's the exact reason why on my pencil sharpener it says, "Get off, I'm mum's." Coming and stealing my pencil sharpeners, and it made me cross.
And when you're talking about energy reset as well, there's a really amazing thing that we can do first thing in the morning that has in many ways helped me, and I know it helps a lot of people, in that, you know, when you're lying in bed in the morning and you kind of like remake yourself as soon as you come out of sleepy land in the morning. And if you start to pay attention to this first thing in the morning, as you wake up, it's like your world builds itself around you. Like your thoughts start to come in, you start to feel your body, you know, you starting to wake up and it's like, oh, what day is it today? Okay, it's Tuesday. And then the world creates around you as you wake up in the morning. If we can grab that moment, actively grab that moment where your day is building itself, and choose every single moment, every single morning, that is a catalyst of change for me. That minute in the morning when my life is building itself. And so as you're coming into awareness of, yeah, it's Tuesday today, okay, I've got that meeting at 10, and then you start to replay the argument that you had with one of your clients yesterday, or your husband, or the problem that your kids got at school, and it all starts to come in waves into your thinking. You're literally getting out of bed in a toxic echo of everything that isn't brand new today.
Yeah.
So we can like use every single morning as a catalyst point, as a change point. As okay, actually, guys, thoughts, memories, just back off. And then filling ourselves with, what is today going to be for me? What is my aim today? What is my goal today? What is my direction today? What's the one thing that I want to feel today? you know, and really program ourselves before we even open our eyes in the morning and sitting up on the side of the bed and having that vision for this day as being, this is going to be a great day. This is what I'm going to get done. These are my ideas. These are my projects. These are my goals. This is what I'm aiming for. It's going to feel like this. I'm going to get to tea time and everything's going to be sorted. And you can create your day and the energy that you want for your day based on everything being brand new right now, rather than that wave of echo from yesterday.
Yeah, I like that, and being able to you know, rather than dragging yesterday into today, choosing the bits. And obviously, some of the bits have to come. We can choose the way that we look at them, but certain situations, circumstances, they're not going to have changed while you were in bed.
No.
You can change the way that you approach them. You can change the avenue of approach. You can change the thought path of approach. But sometimes nothing needs to change for everything to change.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that before we've had conversations about the thing is not the thing.
Thing is not the thing.
Can we just explore that one in context of, I don't want to be where I am right now. I need to move forwards, and identifying the things that are the things rather than the things that are not the things.
Yeah. So this is something that really became evident to me as my life was unfolding with my particular stream of difficulties, and also, you know, the difficulties that people came to with me as a coach, as, you know, as a guide and a channel, and often what we think we're looking at as a problem, the reason that it's a problem is because we're looking at it, thinking about it, and not seeing that behind that specific thing is a much bigger, broader element of life. That if we really look at that one, not only the thing that you are really fixating on would be lightened, but probably a whole string of other things as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I don't know, I'm showing my age here, but we had this game when I was a kid called Kaplunk.
Yep.
Do you remember Kaplunk? Yeah.
It's still around, you're all right.
Is it still around? Right. So you put these sticks in this tube and all of the marbles go on the top, and, you know, you're trying to pull out a stick. And every now and again, you just get one stick that just made everything go change, like, whoa.
Yeah.
And those are really the pieces that we want to start paying attention to.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we're really fixated, and again, this comes back to the shiny object syndrome thing.
Yeah.
Of, we think that is going to be the one that makes everything change.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, if we look, why do I think I need this?
Yeah.
What is it that I think this is going to get me at the end? Where do I really want to be to? And then start looking deeper. And what can we actually look at that will give us that pivotal moment of, like, the one stick that's going to make Kaplunk go.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? It's like, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about screen time. And, you know, the conversation had this element of, you know, I have far too much screen time. And I've talked about the different things that I've started to implement to reduce my screen time. And, you know, if only I had less screen time, then everything would be all right, was the gist of where this was going. Because it's not good for my mental health. It's not good for my physical health. You know, I'm in front of this all day, but I have to do it because I work off my phone. Okay, that's a nice dialogue. But equally, then there was actually, whilst the screen time isn't beautiful, the thing that is actually the thing is boundaries. is being able to allocate work time. Because if you actually said, I only work until, I work between this hour and this hour, say, for example, 9 till 5, just as the traditional sense of looking at it, then your screen time would go from 9 till 5. If you then had an hour's lunch break in the middle of the day, it would be 8 hours a day out of your 24 hours. 8 hours sleep, 8 hours to play, 8 hours to work. Then you would have much less screen time than you probably currently have. So it isn't really the forcing and efforting of reducing the screen time. It's more about looking at your boundaries and where your work time is and your productivity, and perhaps even what you're dressing up as work that isn't work. Perhaps it's the avoidance of other things if you have your phone in your hand all of the time. Perhaps it's the avoidance of creating structure. Whatever it is, it might not be directly the thing that you think the thing is.
Hmm.
And there's lots and lots, we could go on forever with examples of the things that we've worked with people on that they believe is the thing. Whereas we can go, well, if we look at beyond that, that despite where you are right now, or what your limitations are, or what you feel the circumstances and situations are, despite that, you can still move beyond that place with the right tactics, strategy, mindset, all of the things in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that particular example as well, that then brings in the, what we was mentioning about earlier on, about I can't do this change because of all these reasons outside of me.
Yeah.
Because my clients need me, that they're not going to accept me not being around after 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, how much of that is real and how much of that is you perceiving that as real, creating that as real, identifying with, a problem that doesn't actually exist. Because we're actually very good at working with rules as people. If we know there is a boundary, we generally don't want to cross it, especially with somebody that we're working with.
Unless
I would much rather, yeah.
Then we'll flirt with it till the cows come home.
But yeah, there's lots of different layers on all of this stuff. But recognizing that, we often think of catalyst moments as the moment where the world turns upside down and we have one of those oh shit moments.
Yep.
But I actually think they're more pivotal moments than catalyst moments, because I think we have catalyst moments continually.
Yeah.
Like all of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's up to us to start paying attention to those little nudges, little catalyst moments, little sparks, little generated intuitive moments where something just feels yummy that we want to go look at. But we tend to just think, no, that can't be important, But we have an ability to change our lives in every breath if we want to. But I think, if you were to look at your week, there will be in this week moments where you could make a decision that will literally have a kaplunk moment. And they're happening all the time.
We've talked about this before, and I distinguish it as an evolution and a revolution. And an evolution being them small little tweaks that just change the course a little bit, We're talking like tenths of a degree, probably. Just these little shifts, these little changes. And that's an evolution. Whereas a revolution is more about boomf, everything changes all at once. There is a cataclysmic kind of change occurring. they're much more few and far between. They're not things that happen all the time. They're things that can happen in that moment where you find out that your husband's not well, that I am critically ill, and well, it wasn't at that point because I didn't know anything about it then, but at that point of looking at recovery from that, they're kind of the big life events that people think are the catalysts. Whereas most of the time we're working with the evolution, the little tweak, the little change, the 1 degree, da da da.
Mm.
And that is, it's quite empowering because it is not what we always think it is. The thing is not the thing.
Thing is not the thing. But I think if we, as really aware humans, if we can actually get into this state of checking in with ourselves constantly, right? Checking in with ourselves constantly. How am I feeling right here? Right here in this moment, how am I feeling? What feels wrong? What's sucking the life out of me? Where am I? Paying attention to all of these different things of, is there anything that I'm really in a situation where I don't want to accept that anymore? And that being, the example of your screen time thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I really don't want this much screen time in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. So that little bit of education, of knowledge, of looking at that as right, what can I do about this then?
Yeah.
How can I change this? That evolution, that choice to just go looking for a solution for that.
And it could be as simple as adding an autoresponder to your messages and your emails.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having coaches is, I think, really invaluable. And if I could wave a magic wand and give every person in the world a mentor or somebody to just be able to talk to bounce things off, I would do it, because we get so stuck in our own sphere of thinking. We get so stuck in our own realm of life. We get so stuck in the reality of what is.
Yeah.
That having somebody to just have a different perspective, like you did, of, the thing isn't the thing. The thing isn't the screen time. The thing is, why is it that you're feeling you need to respond to your clients after a certain period of at night? Why is that? Why is that still in place? How can you do that? But having somebody that can hold a bigger space for you and feed back to you these different ideas and different ways of seeing your reality, it's so, so important. And I'm blessed to have some amazing friends that we do this for each other. And often, we sort of navigate each other through difficult periods that we're often saying to each other, I can do this for other people, but for myself, really difficult. And again, that then comes back into, do I actually need, in this moment, somebody to bounce this idea off?
Yeah.
And that in itself can be a massive gift to yourself, of just one conversation can sometimes shift your world, because somebody else has seen a different direction that you had no idea was going to be there as the answer to this stuckness or this problem or this thing.
We are much more willing, a lot of the time, in a lot of circumstances, to tolerate our own bullshit than we are to tolerate anybody else's.
Oh God, yeah. And there's that great thing, I ask myself this a lot of the time, is would I want my best friend to be thinking this? Yeah. Would I want my best friend to be thinking this is okay? Would I want my best friends to not be thinking amazing things about themselves, and or a child, would you go up to a 10-year-old and say that to a 10-year-old? You wouldn't, but you say it to yourself all of the time. You make excuses to yourself all of the time about, I can't change, can't do that, no, it's too difficult, it's too stuck. But a 10-year-old you look at them and you go, God, life is just there.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, and you see all that potential.
Mm-hmm.
We've still got that same amount of potential as we get older. You know, we've still got that ability to make change happen. We've still got that ability to turn things in a different direction every minute of every day.
Yeah.
It does just come back to taking a check-in with yourself all of the time.
Mm-hmm. And the great one to often ask is, what would I advise somebody else to do right now? What would be my advice to somebody else, best friend, whatever it might be? They came to me right now with this exact situation, this exact circumstance. What would I be telling them to do?
Yep.
And that's some of the best advice you'll ever get, because it's your objective advice.
Yeah. And then also having the ability to say to yourself, right, I see this is broken.
Mm-hmm.
I see this isn't right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to accept it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I can't change it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're aware of it, that there's a vision for you down the road that does not have this thing in it, then the tiny steps start to kind of happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've found that, you know, once you can put a framework around something, once you can put words to it, actually you start speaking differently about it, and you'll literally not start tolerating things, or you know, you'll start acting differently in the same situation, because it does all come down to us in the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would be your biggest piece of advice for people who are going, I don't want to be here anymore, I don't want to be in this situation, I want to change something, I don't even know what it is? What are your big pieces? What are your big takeaways for people?
Well, there's a lot of things there. So we have to get back to recognizing the right nowness as the first step.
Yeah.
And the recognition of what is wrong right now.
Mm-hmm.
And stopping the beating yourself up and the feeling helpless about it from that point. So the reality of the truth of, okay, this is a really shit, difficult situation.
Yeah.
And actually really owning that. You know, a lot of teachers, a lot of spiritual guides will say, you know, stay in your pain. And I don't think people quite understand what stay in your pain means. I actually see stay in your pain as really just let yourself see it clearly.
Yeah.
Like, just let yourself look at it.
Yeah.
And all of the pieces of it. You know, really just take some time to really have a good look at where you are right now.
It's not
the
about
nowness.
It's
no,
about,
it's not wallowing.
Yeah.
Totally not wallowing. It's like, you know, if you was an alien, you could see yourself as an alien, right? You're blobbed into your body, completely like unattached to everything around you.
Yeah.
And you'd look around and you'd go, huh, why am I doing that? Okay, I'll write that down. That seems a bit odd. Why am I doing that? You know, or there'll be somebody around you that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. And without the emotional attachment to that person, you can actually go, okay, that person makes me feel really uncomfortable. I'm happy about that. This situation makes me feel really uncomfortable. This house that I'm living in makes me feel really uncomfortable. Just being truly aware of the right nowness of it can give you so many easy peasy steps forward that you can take instant change. And there will be, I guarantee, something, one tiny piece that you can do.
Yeah. And take that one step.
Take that one step.
Do that one thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then that becomes a cascade. beyond the catalyst.
Yep.
Little things that happen, little tiny things that make a difference.
Absolutely.
Movements. Well, my darling, thank you ever so much.
You're very welcome. I love our conversations.
Yeah, it's always gorgeous to have a meander around with you and see where we go and what comes up and what direction we move in. Where can people find you?
Okay, so I am over at my new website, which is uninvented.life, and you'll find all about me over there. And I've just opened up a free hub as well, where there's a free membership where you can get free content and some channels and some work that I've been doing. It's you can find it there at hub.uninvented.life.
Cool. I will make sure that the links are with today's episode so that people can find you with absolute ease. Thank you ever so much for your time today, and I hope that that's provided a little thought point and a catalyst for you, the listener out there. So thank you ever so much, and until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.